Hi, I'm Neil Sackmary.
Hi, I'm State Trooper Sean Hagstrom with the Nevada State Police Highway Patrol Division, PEIO. Please stay tuned for the next episode of Trooper Talk.
And together, we can make a difference. Here we are live at the 360 Vegas studios with this edition of Trooper Talk. Okay, now, you ready? This is so exciting for me, okay? This edition of Trooper Talk is so very special on so many reasons. Trooper Hagstrom, when he first came here, we had the blue sofas. and everybody used to sink in, right? So it was like one big sofa. Then we went to the chairs, and everybody seems to like it a lot better. When Trooper Hagstrom first came here, our first guest was the Major. And he came here, and I always make the joke that they said, okay, come back from retirement, and by the way, you're the PIO, and oh, you got to go on this guy, Neil, his TV show once a week, and talk about Trooper Talk. And from that time, he has brought every single person from the fire marshals to parole and probation to captains to lieutenant colonels to, every person has come on because we always want to put everybody who works for the Department of Public Safety in the absolute best light that we can. So please introduce yourself and tell us what it is that you do.
Sure, I'm State Trooper Sean Hagstrom, and I work for Public Affairs, and I'm the Public Information Officer for the Nevada Highway Patrol here in Southern Command.
And you, sir?
I am George Tagliati. I'm Director of the Nevada Department of Public Safety, which also would include our state police and highway patrol and parole and probation and some of the divisions that you mentioned, fire marshal, etc.
Yeah, we had the fire marshal dog in here. I'll tell you all about it. It's fantastic.
I got it.
You know
I
what
don't
I'm
want
saying? And you, sir?
I'm Trooper Villanueva with Nevada State Police. I am the sworn recruiter for Southern Command.
So here's what I'm going to tell you. We used to just talk. And believe me, I could sit here and talk with you for hours because I have so many questions. But one of the things that we found is that people respond when they see pictures. So I don't see the pictures. Trooper Hagstrom works with Johnny. We try to get Johnny on the camera, but it'll never happen. So we can just talk to him, and he just sits over there.
Out.
He edits himself out. So if he
tried.
comes on here, you know what I mean. But let's talk. Let's get to some pictures and see what we got. Now, this here is what we call Sean's safety tips, and what he does every single week is he does a safety tips for people to see of something that they wouldn't normally see. So I turn it over to you. And
Absolutely. Neil, you know, in the Las Vegas Valley, we have so many crashes throughout our valley and everything. And there's people out there that don't know what to do if they get in a crash. So what I wanted to do is tell the public, hey, if you're unfortunate, you get in a traffic collision with somebody else, just remain calm. We want you to be able to check everybody in your car, make sure you're okay, your occupants are okay, and if you can get out of your car safely and check if the other person's okay, make sure that it's not an injury crash or just a property damage crash. Once you find out after that, or if you can get out and do that, we want you to call 911 or star NHP. I wrote some of the stuff down here, but if some of the viewers on the show can kind of look at. But you always want to give your clear and precise location of the crash. Because when you call 911 or star NHP, there's going to be a dispatcher on the other line, and try to give them your location. If you're southbound, if it's on I-11, or if you're approaching like Rancho, kind of give them there's going to be other callers calling in too at the time, so we're probably going to know where you're at. But it's always good to give kind of the best location that you know of to get either medical and everything there. And advise them, hey, we're both okay. I always tell people if you're okay, let's say you're in the travel lanes, always move that car off to the right shoulder if it's property damage, especially on I-11 or I-15, because these cars are zooming by you. They could actually strike you in that roadway, or you can cause other crashes behind you. And that's why we always want you, if the cars are movable, go ahead and try to move them off to the right shoulder. Make sure that you have your driver's license, your registration, your insurance available, because once the trooper gets on scene, he's going to ask you for that. He's going to end up giving you a witness statement to both parties that were involved, and you're going to put your name, kind of explain what had happened. You know, I was driving, you know, southbound on I-11 approaching Rancho when somebody struck me from behind or something. Or you're just going to put it in your own words. If you want, you can always contact your insurance agency. You know, at the time of the crash, if you can get a tow there started, you can. But normally, when the trooper gets there, we'll order tows or whatever and make sure it's available to you. If it becomes an injury crash, and what I want to really tell people is if that person's injured in the car, try not to remove them from the car. You don't know if they have a neck or back injury or something going on, so make sure that you leave the person there. The only time you want to pull them out of that car is if the car's on fire. Yeah. If it's a immediate circumstance to get them out of that car just to save their life. So you don't want to move injured persons at any time. We want fire to do that. Even troopers will not do that unless it's, you know, life-threatening, because you don't know what type of injuries they may have. Another thing, if somebody pulls over and had witnessed the crash, try to get their name and number so you can give that to the trooper. That always helps our investigators and trooper know exactly what's going on. What's nice about the Las Vegas Valley is we have a lot of cameras everywhere. So a lot of times we can pull up cameras when they're doing investigations when they get back to the office, and if they're able to get some of that, see some of that information. And I will tell you this, Neil, being the PIO, I have a lot of people that send me videos, because a lot of people now, which is nice, they have on-car videos and they're constantly running, right? And just this last week, I've had 2 or 3 that I have sent to our day shift sergeants during the day of hit and run crashes. They actually witnessed a hit and run and the person takes off. Now they got the license plate, they got the car, because it's all on video on their car, and they send it to me and I forward it to our investigators. And that is great, because that helps us solve a lot of these issues as far as pertaining to the crash and who it is, and we let those investigators follow it up on that. If you're unable to move your car, or if you get on the side of the road, always put those hazard lights on, just to let traffic know that something's stopped up ahead. We've always talked about that. You know, if you see emergency lights or yellow flashers or whatever, you know something's going on. Just like George told us, you know, people don't want to pull over. We got the move over law here. And that means if you see flashing lights, doesn't matter if it's a tow truck or people are outside the car, it is your duty to get in that next lane if it's available. Now, if there's other cars next to it, and just start slowing your car down so you're not at a top speed when you're going by them, so you don't accidentally strike somebody. Because we talked on the show numerous times, most of the troopers nationwide, they don't lose their lives from shootouts or whatever. Most of the troopers nationwide are getting struck by motorists that are driving by actual traffic collisions, or they're actually making traffic stops and they're ending up striking troopers. You know, we train a lot of our troopers to approach the passenger side, which is a lot more safer for us. You know, the opposite of wherever they pull over. But by law, everybody's supposed to pull over to the right shoulder, and I want the public to know that. If you see red and blue flashers, if you're able to, always pull to the right shoulder. But these are just some of the tips here. You can always exchange information, but if you do not feel comfortable giving somebody else your information, do not. Just wait until a trooper or an officer arrives at the scene, and then let them handle it, and then they can go through the insurance companies to get that information. But I just wanted to put a few things out there, Neil, because there's a lot. We get so many crashes, and some people out there just don't know what to do. I made a traffic stop this morning to come here, and I wanted to get here early for George, but
he didn't stop me.
I didn't stop him. But I had a gentleman, he's not from this country, and he was stopping in the middle. You know, he'd go to the next lane and he'd almost stop, and I had all this traffic backed up, and I'm like, I had to get next to him and I'd say, pull all the way over, because he's from a different country. He's got a professional job. I won't say what he does or whatever. But and he's from a foreign country, but he lives here now and he works in a professional job, and he didn't know what to do, and I had to find out from him, speaking with him and everything. And the reason for the stop was he was speeding. You know, he was behind me and then just took off. He was speeding before, but then I tried to slow him down and he just thought he was going to take off. So, but my education to him was, hey, in the future, if you see red and blue lights, make sure that you pull all the way off to the right shoulder. And we have people that move here from all over the country and people visiting, and they don't know the laws and certain things that we have here to abide to. And I always told them, once you get that Nevada driver's license, it all states there, you know what I mean? In your driver's license, what you should do if you get in contact with police, right? So, I mean, it's just like we're out there doing educating efforts. We're not getting in our uniforms and saying, oh, I'm going to get you today. That's not the whole thing. We're not here just to write citations and give you big cash fines. We're here to educate you and make sure that we're serving the public for public safety throughout the whole Las Vegas Valley and Nevada statewide. So we just want to make sure it's safe for every motorist. So when mom's taking the kids to school or you're going to the grocery store, you don't have to worry about a reckless driver who is selfless and not thinking of others out there. And I just want people to know, just be mindful to others and be careful while you're out there driving. So that's one of the things I wanted to do today was what to do in a property damage crash. Absolutely.
This is fantastic, and people have to know. They both drive the Mustangs. You know what I mean? Yeah, right. Maybe a month ago, I asked him, I said, so did anybody ever pull on the side of you and try to rev the engine and try to race you because they just don't see? And he goes, you know, that happened yesterday. Like somebody pulled alongside of a state trooper and decided to rev the engine and try to race him down the highway. The state troopers, all the divisions under Nevada State Police, all go out there every single solitary day and do the best that they can for the state. And they work so tirelessly. We show them when they give up their time and they go and do coffee with a cop and these type of events. You know, they're out there in every single division. Just like you said, somebody called you and said, you know, that they need someone, you know, like because there might be a threat or something. You know, I mean, like they go out there and they never say no. And so it's something so very special. And every single person that's ever come on the show to sit here and talk has the same exact attitude. We had the the woman come on that was right out of the academy.
Lucero.
Oh, Lucero.
Trooper
Right.
Lucero.
And you know, it turned out that she had such a fond bond with Corporal Wellman, who helped her through the academy when she was having difficult times. And she came here and she was able to talk. And so we talk about officer and trooper wellness. And, you know, that falls also under people that are unsworn. And so one of the coolest things is that when people get to come on the show, they get to express, you know, things and all this type of stuff because they're not able to do this on a regular basis. And so with you coming here, and, you know, it was very important to see the Sean safety tips that we talk about and that we try to, as hard as we can, to curb the crashes or the speeding or the driving while impaired and these type of things. But there's so many other things, like you said, that fall under the Nevada State Police. What's that like to be able to lead that? I mean, like, how do when you wake up in the morning, like, I'm sure you know, like, just like any, you know, I have to do these things, but like, what keeps you humble to be able to lead? It would just be very, for a normal person, it would be very taxing on the brain.
It's one of the best parts for me, or the best parts of this job, is to try to do some things that are kind of innovative and use the years of experience that I have and the connections and the relationships that I have to put some programs together to make the department the best it could be. And so just a couple of examples. You know, I've known the sheriff, Kevin McMahill, and he called the other day, and he's very passionate about highway safety and our roads. And we're going to expand on some of these joint efforts that we have. You hear about them sometimes, about joining forces with DUIs and so on and so forth. But it's the type of thing where that phone will ring, it rings a lot. And 24/7, I never turn it off. And that's the exciting part of it, because I want to help. There's something I can do. I started teaching at UNLV around 2012, 2010, as an adjunct professor there, and made some contacts within the school and so on and so forth. And we've built up our wellness program now, when you talk about wellness and mindfulness, which is something I'm excited about. So it's another challenge for me to say, okay, what can I do to really help build this department and make it the best it can be? And I owe it to all these guys and men and women who are here to use whatever juice, talent I have to do that. And I'm very excited about our wellness thing. We've had some issues as far as funding and so on and so forth, but UNLV has been great. I'm just now starting to engage with the medical school to hopefully get involved with them on mental health issues and so on and so forth. So just, just start building on ideas. Once you get bored, it's time to go, okay? Mm-hmm. Once you don't have the energy to try to accomplish something every day you go to work, it's time to find something else to do. And that's what really fuels me and keeps me charged up, is to get some sense of accomplishment on the things I could do. And then there's smaller things, like take the car homes. When I first arrived as a director, you had to come in and sign in and so on and so forth. I says, no, go do it when you're in your driveway, because guess what? Whoops, you're working the second you get in your vehicle. And that, why not start paying you to work? Because you could pull your neighbor over because he just flew by you.
Right.
Or there's a crash at the next intersection. Restrictions on where you should live. No. How about if you've got a family and you may be struggling to try to buy your first house? You want to live a little bit over in Nye County or do this, that, the other thing? Let's be more flexible in what we do. And so little changes and then big changes. Whatever connection I have with the legislature, sometimes I think I'm a lobbyist. People think I'm a Democrat, and then people think I'm a Republican. That's the way I like it. Because it's all about trying to keep a level playing field for my people, my team. And you know what? I'll be honest with you. The older you get, they're my kids. Mm-hmm. So I look at it.
Sure. And sort of go into the fact of, we always talk about on the show, working with the different agencies. You know what I mean? That most people think that, there's all these different animosities between, and one of the things that's really wonderful, and we saw that as self-evident when, unfortunately, we lost Sergeant Abate and Trooper Felix, which was all the police agencies came together, took over calls, helped, helicopter, all these type of things. And, that in itself is very special. That when the sheriff calls you, that you're like, okay, I'll just get to him later, or, we'll just push this to voicemail, and you know what I mean? Like, it's not something that you do. It's not something that everybody underneath you knows that you don't do, and that's why they work so hard for you. And so, from a fatherly standpoint, it must be very special then when you go to an academy and mm-hmm. you see a cadet that you might see in 10 or 15 years, and you're going to go, oh, you're a sergeant now. Oh, you're a lieutenant. You know what I mean? What does that make you feel? Do you do that often? Go to the ceremonies and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, at the ceremonies, I may say a few words and I'll swear them in, but I meet them beforehand. Just
you hang out with them and talk with them?
And then just say, hey, guys, got any questions? Hey, what's going on? Talk a little bit about the job.
Yeah.
That kind of, hey, where are you from? Who's in the military? Who's this, that, and the other thing?
I think you were just with them yesterday, right?
I was with them yesterday, as a matter of fact. And that's kind of fun. And I'll tell you what else does it charge?
Yeah, tell me.
I've been walking through parole and probation, for example, one of the officers, and somebody would go, hey, professor. And I go, and it was one of my students from UNLV. So you get it gets really goofy
How cool
sometimes.
is that, though?
But
Right,
that's
that's
cool
cool.
stuff, and
Yeah.
that's what again, it's so fulfilling, and that's what this job is about. I worked in the private sector I had this job some time ago. I worked for Governor Gwynn. I came back to work with Governor Sisolak, and that time when I was in the private sector, it was great. You know, a lot of positives, met a lot of people, made a lot of connections. There's a lot of pluses for that, but you know what? It didn't have the reward that you get in working for the state and working with a team that's family. That there's just no comparison. I have friends, and then you have family, and it's not about money. It's about how you feel every night when you get home. That feeling of accomplishment. How you feel in the morning when you want to go to work.
Yeah.
It's scary,
Yeah.
really.
It's a calling too, and not only that. Did you notice how the director says? Because we always talk about it, how Nevada State Police as a whole is a family.
Yep.
You know, we're not the biggest agency, but everybody knows everybody, and like we said, you know, some other agencies you have to make you know, appointments to talk to
Yes.
leaders, where our guys can go up and talk to a major. I mean, we still have a chain of command. You know what I mean?
Of course.
But if our guys want to come up and talk to director, he gives his time.
Yeah.
He'll give you advice. You know what I mean? And this is what's so nice about our department, because we are family. And whether our troopers are up north or parole and probationary, everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows their families. They know what they do, and that's just what makes us a better department than a lot of other departments out there.
Yeah, I love it. I think that it's the most wonderful thing, and you know, you've mentioned it a few times. You know what I mean? And I come back to you with your family, and you know, coming back to the fact of officer wellness and trooper wellness, right? And the fact that you know you need to have some form of escape to be able to mentally prepare for the next day, and so. I never asked you though. You know, Sergeant Keene was on here. Maybe that was about a month ago. I never asked you, but I'm going to ask you now.
Okay.
I'll embarrass you.
Here we go.
You know what I mean? You never know what I'm going to ask.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But he said that before he goes to work, he goes into a separate room, and he plays. He didn't say what kind of music. Right? He said he listens to all types of genres of music, but he said he goes in and he mentally, he takes his family and he says, okay, you know, like I'm going to go in my room now, and he prepares, he puts on his vest, and you know what I mean? His hair always looks the same, so I'm sure that he doesn't have to do that in the room. You know what I'm saying? But do you do that?
I do. I kind of have like a get ready moment in the morning
Yes.
where I kind of separate myself. I have it's not really a room, but it's in the loft area where I have a little station where I can hang my uniform, all my gear hangs. I have a little safe for my firearms and my taser and whatnot, all the crazy stuff that I don't want the kids to get. But at the end of the day, it's a little bit different for me because I do have my wife that works for us. While I'm getting, I guess, done from work and transitioning into husband, father,
Right.
we kind of like talk about the day and whatnot. But after that, we kind of do our own thing at home. It's no more, we're not talking about work. Work is work, right? We're going to talk about work while we're at work and while we're getting ready and whatnot. But yeah, it's kind of like you got to prepare yourself to start the day and prepare yourself. My day looks a little bit different, right? Because I'm not out on the road as much as I was before. But I do pick up overtime shifts and I'll help out the road when they're a little short staffed and whatnot. So those days I kind of do prepare myself and get myself, I don't want to say hyped up, but just ready to go out and interact with the public in a different kind of mindset.
Yeah. Do you do anything like that?
Actually, I always feel it's strange, but
You drink a special cup of coffee or something?
yeah, I don't. My day isn't really 9 to 5 because it is, but it isn't because the phone is always ringing or something's always on. And I've had calls, and they get some really weird calls from because I won't get into a lot of it, but people who know what I do and could you help me do this, or do you know a guy
Favors.
that does this, or somebody that does
Oh,
that,
yes.
and so I'm. Everyone. You're kind of touching on a subject that's near and dear to my heart. We mentioned wellness. And the reason I started to push that, not only nationwide has it become kind of the thing to do for law enforcement, something that's important because people are now recognizing post-traumatic stress and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And I had mentioned my past. I had been, a pilot in a war. There was no wellness program.
Right.
So whatever demons you may pick up there, you're on your own.
Yeah.
When I was with the FBI, I was undercover for about 2.5 years, just under 2.5 years here in Las Vegas. It was very impactful on my personal life. When it was over, it was, hey, nice job. There's your desk over here. Let life go on. In the meantime, all of the baggage that you may have picked up during that time and the personal problems you may have had with your family, nothing against the FBI. I mean, that wasn't a priority for them. Guess what? It's a new world today. I've been there. I don't want them to go without some sort of help when we talk about family. So that wellness program, to me, is really important. And what I want to do is I've met with, for example, the general for our National Guard. And they have a federal wellness program. Well, guess what? We can have ones better than that, okay? Because that's what we're supposed to do. We want to be the best. We want to have, and that's why I want to engage with UNLV, who's doing some research, putting on some good paper, research papers, et cetera, so that we can have it for every first responder, not just us. We can have it for the National Guard folks. How about our first responders who come in and work for an ambulance, right? They come in with the fire department. The stuff they see every day and they bring it home at night, how does that affect them? It affects everybody differently. But it's nothing you should be ashamed of or worried about. If you don't have to worry about it if you have an outlet, if you have somebody you can go to. And that's what I even spoke to the recruits, soon to be graduates, yesterday, was just a little bit about wellness. Don't you ever hesitate to reach out, because that's why we have this program, but it's here to help you, and there's no stigma to that, none whatsoever, because I've lived through that whole period where there was a stigma. What's wrong with you if you have to go reach out and ask somebody for why you feel this way about this, that, or the other thing? That's normal. So, I mean, pretty passionate about that. That's a program that's
It's in the works.
difficult to get going. It's in the works. We have our own, but we're expanding through the university. And then once I get it cooking pretty good at UNLV, or we get it, they're doing the heavy lifting. I'm going to expand to Truckee Meadows up north, community college. I'm on their advisory board. And then hopefully Great Basin, because we got to worry about the whole state. I can't just concentrate on Vegas.
Right, of course.
So it's, again, when you ask me what I do,
Yeah.
that's kind of a challenge. And so every now and then you meet somebody and you think there's a connection and they can help you. You kind of, hey, by the way, can you do this and you can do that. But right now you'll get grants. For example, Douglas County just got a grant for their wellness program. So somebody's given them money to do a wellness program. Okay, well, what kind of wellness program? I'm not picking on them, but it was a federal fund. We got to kind of get it all together and say, hey, why don't we get a program together that we know works, and it can be the best program, rather than have little individual programs here and there. Some may be effective, some not so much.
You know, it's interesting because one of the things that I love to do is I love to look at the camera. And when I'm having a bad day or anything like this, I can go in my green screen area and I can scream at the camera. And that camera is never going to do anything except just sit there and stare at you. And so part of, you know, when it is that we're doing things, like we need to do things that make us feel good and to allow us the opportunity to be able to express and talk and things like that. And we have talked before here specifically about when the officers are able to talk to amongst themselves, and then that they have other people inside of the department who keep that private. And so what people have to know is that those private conversations are private because, you know, they see horrific things no matter what it is that their job entails. And even if they don't see something, when we've had, it's very interesting, we had the sergeant for Capitol Police come on, right? And I forget and then we had somebody else come on that was part of like the Capitol Police in this area. And when they sat in the middle and they talked to me, you could tell that they were talking to me and they were having a conversation, and that they were looking at me and all that, but they weren't looking at me. They were looking at me and they were looking all here because that's how they were trained. And so that mental taxing, you know, on somebody's brain, like you said, when you had to do the undercover work, right? You know, it's something that we take very seriously. And it's wonderful that you say that it's a very big passion of yours, because one of the things that they do is they give their 100% heart and soul into every single day that they work. And from the minute, like you said, that they sign on, you know, from the driveway, they're working. And it's not like, well, I'm going to go, you know, sign on and then go have a coffee, you know, at this place. No, like, you know, and so it's something that officer wellness and things like that is very important. And it's something that that's why one of the reasons that I love the Trooper Talk is because most people never get a chance to see these men and women laugh. They're always, you know, they always have to have the hat on and be serious, because most of the time it is a very serious situation. They're not just wasting people's time, and so it's very a wonderful. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, if you ask me, one thing that troubles me or bothers me, or one
Yes.
thing I worry about, is losing someone in our family, without a doubt. And to the point where every May, up at the state capitol, we have a memorial for fallen law enforcement and first responders. And I spoke at that a number of times. I don't ever want to speak it again, because the speakers are those that lost somebody. And I dread ever in May, if I go, I just don't want to be one of the speakers, because that meant I lost somebody. And that is the absolute toughest thing for any of these folks. I mean, when you
Do
get
you
that
cry?
phone call in the middle of nowhere, right? At any time, and they said, by the way, director, we've had, you know, we had an issue with one of our troopers, and boom. And then when we lost Trooper Abate, we've lost, you know, you don't want to keep track.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely horrible. But we pay, I tell you what, as family, we pay homage to every one of them for everything they've done. They were great people, and we take care of their families.
Yeah.
Those that were left behind. And I've just been on the outside looking in when I watched how the Highway Patrol just responds to take care of their kids, the birthdays, you know, first day at school, all this kind of stuff. I mean, it's just, it breaks your heart in one way, but it's just so meaningful, and it speaks volumes for what we are as a family. But I don't ever want to get that phone call.
When you go up there and you have to speak, do you cry? Do you get like emotional
It
like that?
gets the secret
Or
to
do
that.
you just you keep it in because of who you are?
It's hard
and how
now.
You were
It's
trained?
even hard when I talk about that. But the secret to success is whatever your speech is going to be, read it about 10,000 times. So that's coming. It's quick. It's quick. And you try and you'll know when your touching moments may be that are tough for you to say. Which again go back to my past of what I saw, what I didn't see, or who one of my loved ones I may have lost. And you prepare for that to happen, because you're up there not to show necessarily too much emotion where you can't get through your speech. But yeah, I get pretty emotional about this stuff.
Yeah.
But and rightfully so. I mean, I don't know what kind of hard ass wouldn't, but you just don't want to get that phone call. So when I do get the calls in the middle of the night, it's just like, oh, what's this? And you just pray you never have that situation.
Yeah, it's so we've been doing the IPOF now for 17 years, and so not in the same context, but as when an officer or somebody loses their life, we have to immediately update, you know, on put it on the website so people, you know, because you know. People in Las Vegas and the greater area, you know, they're very supportive,
Right.
and so they want to financially help or you know whatever it might be, and it's heartbreaking. You know what I
It was,
mean?
yeah.
And when the the last troopers that have lost their life, used to come on the show.
Yep.
And so it's heartbreaking, but one of the solaces that I think is really wonderful is that when they painted the car just like Trooper May's car and they gave it to his son, or when they do the school or the first day, like the Nevada State Police is totally different. And so we never want anyone to get a phone call or to lose, but one of the things that makes Nevada State Police different and special is the fact that they stick together. I mean, it's nothing like I've ever seen, and so it's very special. So
But Trooper May that was horrific, but then Troopers Abate and Felix, when that hit, it was like 2, and it was, ooh, and and then it went out, and
so you get a phone call
I get in the car, and go.
and go.
Yeah, and I went to the hospital and went to the scene first, and where is everybody, and then went to the hospital, and then, the rough part, because here comes, the widows.
Right.
That's tough.
And so talk to us about like that phone, like, so you maybe you're sleeping or whatever, but then you get this phone call. I mean, like what goes through your mind? Like you pick up the phone and all of a sudden it's somebody and you're like, you hear this, do you almost like to the point of like drop the phone? Like you're just like you know what I'm saying? Like, do you go numb? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is that mentally like?
It's you're in the business, and you've been in the business long enough. Nothing surprises you, so you just go into autopilot, so to speak, where okay, boom, I got to get dressed, or got to do this and that and the other thing, grab my stuff, and in the meantime, that usually whatever first phone call is probably 25% accurate. You'd be lucky to be half accurate.
Phone calls from other
right?
people.
So they'll say, it's this person, a blue Ford, or this or that, and then when you get there, you find out it's something that's, it's just different set of circumstances. So you just can't rely on that very first phone call, all the facts that you've got. You got to get there and then find out. And then you just, honest to God, turn in autopilot, and that's what makes these guys the best at what they are. When that autopilot's off is when wellness comes in. Because it may be 10 o'clock at night, it may be a week from now, and you think about Trooper Felix or Trooper Abate or May, and you go, ooh, and you were a good friend to you, as I remember doing this. I remember having lunch with him 2 months ago. I remember this, that, and the other thing. So that's why I want to send out that message to our people. If it becomes that troubling, and you know when it is, even if you need somebody to talk to, that's why we have our wellness program. We just can't ignore it. We don't need people to carry that burden by themselves.
Yeah. And you retired.
Sorry.
No.
No, I was just going to say, I just got chills because he hit near and dear. So I was actually on scene for Trooper May. I was on scene for Trooper Abate Sergeant Abate and Trooper Felix. And then right after that, I was involved in my second shooting. And he hit it on the head. You are in autopilot. You are handling business. You are working, essentially, right? But as soon as you're done with all of that and everything's kind of dwindled down, that autopilot shuts off and you are in a grief kind of point of that part of the process, and your emotions take over, and there's nothing that you can do. But there's nothing wrong with talking about it, because I found during Trooper May's incident, I didn't want to talk to anybody, because I was like, no, I'm a cop, I am a trooper, I'm an officer, I have to handle this the way I need to handle this, right? And I learned very quickly that it is important to open up, and it is very important to share what you're feeling, because if you start bottling it up, it all turns into a pressure cooker and you eventually explode. So he hit it directly on the head, where you're on autopilot because you're working. You have to figure out what's going on, right? You have to deal with what's in front of you. But as soon as that's over, it's important to go and talk and get the help that you need. And whether that's with a civilian at work that has no idea what you saw out on the scene, or you talk to somebody that's a partner or a trooper or an officer that might have been out on scene, and you're just kind of digressing and just kind of washing everything off with that person. So it's very important that, and it's amazing to see the wellness program grow, because I'm kind of on the back scenes of it. I'm not involved directly with it, But just seeing it grow and seeing how important it is to the department and our leadership, and how important it is to them that we are very clear-headed and clear-minded before we go out onto the road to the next shift. So it's really cool to see, and he talks about taking care of the family and taking care of the troopers' lives and whatnot, but they do a really good job of taking care of us and making sure that we're good to go out on the road.
Yeah,
It's well said. Well said.
It's fantastic,
Absolutely.
and that's what I was, like that leads me to, like, you retired, and then all of a sudden you came back.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And you've seen so many things in your career, which is longer than others, that you're able to then share. And I see you hang out with him before the show starts. You know what I mean? And so you're laughing, you're joking. You know what I mean? Like, you can tell that there's this genuine camaraderie that is really wonderful. And every single person that you bring onto the show, like, you may have met them one time, or you may have been best friends. By the way, this is one of his best friends, right? He was the Ramrod. This is his book. He came on the show. 4 of Trooper Hagstrom's friends growing up are police officers, became police officers. And so anyway, I always like to show this off so people. But what I'm saying is that, on a very serious note, that, when people come here, that it's so wonderful. And we've had people come here that have been guests, like your family and stuff like this, and your family. And we had, when we did the 200 show, we had all the troopers and stuff here. There is this camaraderie and this love and this genuine feeling of family that we talk about, but it's so genuine that one of the things that I love about the show is that I believe people can feel. They can look through the camera, and they can look at you, and they can look at everybody, and they can feel. And so they know that you're telling the truth. They know when you talk about the family and the love that you feel for all your brothers and sisters. It doesn't matter which division they're in. The feeling is mutual along so many things, right?
Yeah, and we go through all the same training. You know what I mean? And bar none, Nevada State Police has some of the best training, I would say, in the nation. We train more than most agencies. We have the latest technology and equipment always. We're always upgrading, always testing, making sure that our troopers and parole probation officers and everybody in every division gets the best equipment, the best training. And what's great about Director Tagliati here is letting you know that he's bringing on a great wellness program, because he's not looking at, hey, we're out there doing the job. He's looking after the after effect. How's that going to affect the trooper or the officer in the long run? And now he's looking for the health-wise for us here in the future, because it does affect everybody differently. And at least he provides that service to everybody and makes it available. So there's always positive things, and like you said, everybody notices it. And you said it well said. Everybody feels the emotion, knows what our family's like. We've talked about numerous times, even at the ceremonies, when they give the flowers to the wife and say, hey, you're going to have some difficult times or good times, but you are part of the family. You are part, and we see you and we honor you. And that's what's so great about actually working for a department like ours. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. So let's look at this camera right here, and then we're going to wave goodbye, okay? See you later.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye.